Hey, it's Juck.
Hey, he's Juck.
I don't think he's going to throw the ball as much as he thinks he's going to throw the ball now that Chip Kelly's on board. And I'm happy about that. More quarterback. The truth is Ryan Day has made a change philosophically, but it's none of those. You all know who wins. LSU is the drunkest fan base in the country. And good morning. Welcome into Juck on Bucks. Juck joining you live with my buddy Kris. We like to do this every once in a while to kind of see where we're both at on things, as we both love the storylines of college football. We got quite a few to talk with you guys about this morning. KD, how we doing this morning, brother?
Oh, living the dream, man. You sent me the text yesterday. Hey, do you want to jump on? It's like, yeah, of course. No problem. No brainer. Easy. I'll be here. What time?
Yeah, I want to start this morning, Kris, with we were just talking off air. I had an issue originally with the Big Ten getting into these Friday night football games. And I knew that what I would do is if there was a big Friday night game, I would stay home and watch that game instead of going to a high school game. We got a high school game in town. We got Hoban, St. Ignatius. You told me you're going there tonight.
Yep.
And now I feel horribly guilty because I want to stay home and watch Nebraska and Illinois. You're just the better man than I guess.
No.
This is what I knew would happen.
Honestly, I part of like when I started seeing colleges play more and more on Fridays, I try to like hold myself to go see like 2 high school games a month. Like I want to go see kids play, especially like you know how I am, Juck. Like I champion Ohio high school kids. And so I'm trying to make time to go watch high schoolers, and there's just too many potential Ohio State players in that game that's in Akron for me to pass up on. But don't worry, because I'll be texting you updates on that game, and then you'll be texting me updates, I'm sure, on the Nebraska game, and we'll just do it that way.
It is a crazy amount of prospects. I mean, over on the Ignatius side, we've got Will Conroy, and Will Conroy, a 2026 offensive guard. He's probably going to be a center in college. He's a little bit shorter. And Will, we've heard, and Will told me himself that there has been renewed talks from Justin Fry. Things are maybe starting to pick up, and he's going to come into town for that Iowa game. He said he's really looking forward to seeing how the offensive line performs against Iowa. He's real big on his development, and I think that right now, looking at the Buckeye offensive line, we can point to some serious forward momentum for development for Justin Fry. I mean, we can pick out quite a few guys. I'm looking at Austin Seerveld hopping in there in year 2, looking pretty good. Simmons, Fryar's improvement that he's made, Tegra being ready to start. I mean, I think it's looking good there. On the Hoban side of the ball, who are you most looking forward to?
I mean, Rock Hill. What do you mean? Like that's my kind of player. That's the dynamic athlete. That's the explosive athlete. Obviously, like I'm all for this BIA, and I think that BIA is better when there's like a strong Ohio presence there. So obviously, I want him to be a Buckeye, but also I want to see Sam Greer. I want to see him again. I've seen him a couple times, but really, this game for me is to go get eyes on Will. Because the other two I'm sure about. Like the other two I'm absolutely positive, Ohio State caliber, Ohio State star power, can play anywhere in the country. I want to go see Will just because I haven't seen him yet, and I want to do my due diligence. Everything I've seen kind of on tape, like even, little clips here and there, I've been really impressed with, and I want to see it for a full game.
Have you heard the last I talked to Will, Cody Haddad had not been playing. Do you know if he's playing?
I do not, but I can definitely find out. I can shoot a text and ask.
St. Ignatius.
A lot of prospects.
Yeah. Ignatius, by the way, a 29.5 point underdog heading into Hoban, guys, if you can believe that. That's how good Hoban is. And that's how much the star power is. I've not gotten a chance to see Sam Greer yet. He would be the guy I'd be keying in on. Sam Greer, definitely every bit the 6'8" that he's listed at. I've seen him outside of a uniform. I've not seen him play yet. He has not completed a full season uninjured, which is of some concern to some people. So really hoping to see him.
Do you think he's almost too tall, out of curiosity?
It's tough, man. 6'8" is rough. I think outside of 6'7", you're starting to get into the danger zone for me. I just get a little uncomfortable. But the way he moves, he's so, we look at his basketball highlights and it's like, oh my gosh, like that's
Juck in the state title game, he locked up Devin Royal.
The dude's
as
nuts.
a true freshman, like senior Mr. Basketball Ohio, Devin Royal got locked up by freshman Sam Greer at Hoban.
It's pretty wild. It's pretty wild.
And Devin Royal's currently, on the Ohio State team, all-time leading scorer in pick history. He was on that same team with Sonny Styles and them. So it's like we're talking about like a legit D1, high D1 prospect who's playing at Ohio State, getting locked up by none other than Will Greer.
Total stud. I want to play this clip. It is it's the headline of this video. Let me play this real quick for everybody.
Games, like, does it feel different?
Yeah, for sure. I know I used to not get tired in practice last year, but now I think we're pushing and the coaches are pushing us harder than ever to where I'm out of breath every single play because we're just going as hard as hell. It's insane. It's crazy. The experience and the playing hard from last year to this year, I can't describe in words what it feels like.
For those not familiar, that's right tackle Josh Fryar. Josh Fryar telling us that, things are really rough this year in practice, and they were not last year. He can't even put it into words. There have been a lot of allegations that there was a lot of people called it a country club atmosphere up there.
Yeah.
The last couple of years. What are your first thoughts when you hear that, Kris?
Every day that goes by, the more we hear about the previous Ohio State teams, it's like, holy smokes. Even with look, that confirmed it. Country club atmosphere confirmed. Sorry. It is what it is. I was the one that pounded the table. I was the one talking about this is not a soft team. I was the one pounding my chest. Where's Lou Holtz at? Like, I was like that. But then to hear a right tackle who, again, was supposed to be competing last year for the right tackle job to win it, for him to come on an interview and say, I used to not get tired in practice. This year I'm getting tired is asinine 10, 11, and 12. I cannot believe it. And part of me is like, okay, like, I guess that should scare everybody, right? Because, like, we were country club soft, clearly, and we were 1 point away from Georgia. We were country club soft, and we were 6 points away from beating Michigan, who won a national title, and we spotted them 7 points. So part of me is infuriated. Like, are you kidding me? A right it's not like a receiver where on a couple run plays you could take those plays off. It's a right tackle competing for a starting job, saying I did not get tired.
I'm blown away. I guess number one, the first thing is I want to say, like, that's very exciting for this year. That makes me feel great about this year, right? But we went through this all in the rumors of, is Mick easing up on the guys? And then it was, no, it's Ryan has told Mick to lighten up on everybody. Remember all that crap that we went through?
I do. It was the back and forth. It was Ryan. No, it was Mick. It was Ryan. Yeah. No, it's Mick.
Yeah, and I don't know if everybody's in tune to all that kind of stuff that we follow on the daily, but that was a big thing. That the strength and conditioning program was a lot lighter and easier than it had been in the past under the Urban regime and under the first couple years of Ryan Day. It had backed way off. Guys thought it was too tough, and they backed off. And who was it? Who was at fault? And then we hear the country club allegations. And to hear this is just like, I mean, and like you, I could not stand Ohio State being called soft.
Right.
Because you look at those guys as individual men, and none of those dudes are soft. But they didn't play with a hard edge. They didn't play with a lot of juice. And when you hear this, it's just like, man, oh man, what could have been? And that's what irritates me when I hear that. Like, what could have been? Now, things look good, right? What changed? This is my thought. So I am in a business that my dad was in before me. And I remember whenever my dad would come around, I would be like on my P's and Q's, man. I would be extra tough with the employees. I would be extra sweet to the customers. Like, when dad was around, I wanted to be my absolute best and make sure that everybody was in line. When you get Chip Kelly and you enter him into this equation, do you think that is what is spurring Ryan Day on to maybe be on top of things, along with the losing and his overall change? I think that this has got a lot to do with Chip Kelly.
I think so too. I think that would make a lot of sense. With not just Chip Kelly, but also like you said, I mean, Ryan Day's around more because like before Ryan Day was really just coaching the quarterbacks and kind of being the offensive play caller. I think him being involved with every unit has got to like get things going. But I guess I was just more surprised that last year it was like this, considering all we've heard about kind of Justin Fry and the way he's from like the Steve Adazio school of coaching, linemen. And Steve Adazio was so ridiculously hard on his linemen. So I was really surprised to hear it from Josh Fryar. And I guess, I don't know how you feel about this. I would almost not excuse it, but I would almost understand it more if we were talking about a superstar player saying this.
Yeah.
Like if Josh Fryar was Paris Johnson level, I get it. Like you don't want to get that kind of guy hurt in practice. Mm-hmm. But for Josh Fryar to say, yeah, like I wasn't really tired, it makes you wonder what went into that competition, and was he given the coaching and grinding that he needed to be a great player, or is his stride that we both think that he's taken this year to do with the fact that, okay, he's finally being coached like he hasn't made it yet?
It's really interesting. It really is, because you look at now, all of a sudden we hear from preseason to, even back to spring, this huge improvement. He's telling us he's working harder than he ever has before. What could have been? It's just like, man, that is irritating. But moving on to the team, to the guys, I want to talk about JJ for a second. Obviously, you and I and probably everybody watching here has been not quite as shocked as the rest of the country with how he's kind of burst onto the scene. We all have kind of seen it coming slowly, throughout spring, throughout the preseason. But PFF dropped some stuff. The number 2 wide receiver in single coverage in all of college football, number 17 overall. On3 has him as a top 10 wide receiver already after 2 games of college football. I think it's bananas. Absolutely, he is the going to be the freshman of the year and the freshman of this class on Ohio State's team. Thoughts on him and who you think might be that next best, the freshman on this team with the next best overall Buckeye career? Because I think we can safely say he's going to be number 1.
So he's my number 1, and I'm going to ask you a spinoff question here in a sec. But I'm in love with James Peoples. I was the guy that wasn't super high on James Peoples. I thought that he was good. I didn't see the J.K. Dobbins, but he looks like a twitch monster. And I think him and Sam Williams-Dixon, like to be kind of that smash and dash duo when Quinshon and Trey leave, I think can end up being really, really good. And I think Peoples is going to be a guy next year I think that we're going to really, really lean on. So he's probably my number 2 guy. I have taken note of all the quiet praises guys have given to Edrick Houston. Like that's definitely notched close by just of the freshmen. But I want to ask you, does Jeremiah Smith have the best chance on this Ohio State team to make it to New York for the Heisman Trophy ceremony?
Gosh, man, it's like, it's so tough because he's a wide receiver, but could it be that the story, and Heisman Trophy is about storylines. Could it be that the story becomes such a sensationalized story across the country if he keeps this up, if he puts on the highlights that Kris, we saw those highlights coming out every day. Mm-hmm. If he starts putting up those crazy highlights, and we got to think he will at some point start putting up those insane catches he was making in practice. If he starts putting those up on Saturday, the story's just going to get built bigger and bigger. I would have to say yes. Because I think Will Howard is so undervalued nationally. I don't think anybody's too interested in that storyline. It just doesn't seem like it's caught. So I would have to say I would probably say so. As far as
why the Will Howard storyline won't catch, at least my opinion.
What's up?
Because I think the team being too good around him is going to penalize him naturally. I think people are going to look at him and think, okay, he's not the best on his own team. How can we give him the Heisman? Because I think with quarterbacks, like that's something that absolutely matters, I guess.
It is for sure. As far as freshmen, for me, it's Edrick. I'm pretty enthralled by the prospects of what this guy can be. And like you with Peoples, I wasn't all in on him as there's 5 stars and then there's, super 5 stars. I did not think he was the super 5-star coming out of high school. And
you know what kind of messed me about Edrick Houston? I thought we were getting Dylan Stewart, and so I would watch Dylan Stewart's highlights, and like his 5-star does not look the same as like Edrick Houston's 5-star,
right?
And that kind of soured it for me a little bit, I think.
Yeah, for sure. But I really think that this dude could be making one heck of an impact right now as a freshman if he was getting those kind of reps. The dude is just a dog, and I know you're a big Aaron Scott fan too. He might have that shot too.
Yeah,
but
I actually like Bryce. Like Bryce West, I think is my favorite of the corners. And that I think has more to do with like being around Teddy. I think. So I don't know if I told you, like I went to go see Coach, and he ripped me apart. Like he cussed me out because he was struggling to get the TV working, and I was like working on something else, and he said, "Mother, I know you see me over here struggling." I'm like, okay, yes, sir. I'm like,
he's great. He's great.
Yeah.
You're always going to defer to the Glenville guy anyway. I know how you
always.
roll.
Yeah, no, I love Bryce West, and like when Ginn tells me that like he's not quite the athlete, but reminds him a lot of like what Marshawn meant to Glenville. And then of all the players that had like their GPS tested with the ball in their hands, he was the fastest in the country amongst high school players, which I don't think a lot of people realize. Even faster than a guy like KJ Bolden, who people felt like was the most explosive. Yeah. So with the ball in his hands, the real GPS meter had him as the fastest in the country of all high schoolers last year. And I was really surprised by that, because there's some guys on a football field or like with track times that you would think, okay, like Gatlin Bear. I was like, okay, like him with the ball in his hands would test faster than Bryce West. And I think Bryce West has like that next level football speed. And if he can really lock down and get the footwork right and be a cover guy, I mean, he's got Denzel Ward potential. So I'm really high on Bryce West.
That is tremendous to hear. I did not know that. Definitely the cornerback room looking fantastic. Jayden Ballard didn't start off the season so hot. We've got this big push. Before I get into that, I want to say one more thing. James Peoples, I just heard yesterday, there's a lot of people clamoring for James Peoples to get more carries. A lot of people very, feeling like you're feeling about James Peoples. James Peoples has just 2 fewer carries than Trey. And
does he
maybe
really?
like 6 fewer carries than Quinn. And I think what they're saying is maybe they want to see him in prime time, but we just have this thing. And I think it's why we all love recruiting so much, where it's like, what's next? What we want the next thing. We've got the 2 best backs in the country, and we're always like looking at what's next, which I find pretty funny, because I heard that a lot yesterday, a lot this week. They want to see James Peoples with more carries, but
it's the shiny new toy thing, man.
Yeah, pretty funny stuff. The renewed focus on special teams coming out of Ryan Day and kind of taking the bull by the horns himself seems to be like his new focus is a whole lot of special teams. Jayden Ballard is, a guy we've talked about for years, a crazy athlete, crazy straight line speed, made ridiculous highlight catches his entire time at Ohio State, has never got things to quite click. They give him an opportunity at kick returner, and he immediately pulls a bonehead move, which he's done time and time. Can you really be taking special teams seriously if we see that guy back there again this week? I don't think you can say you're taking it seriously if we continue to see him when you've got so many other options.
Yeah. I mean, this team is full of what? A+ athletes, right? Like Ryan Day, I need you to learn from your mistakes. Like if Jayden Ballard is still messing up some special team stuff, like he don't have to be back there. And I like Ballard. I root for Ballard. Obviously a guy that I got to see a lot in high school, kind of being from near us. But there's just so many guys that would love a chance to have their hands on the ball, to go get active in that position. I don't know where you're at, Juck, but I have a theory that I like defensive players as return men a little bit more than offensive players.
I'm with you, man. They cherish it.
Exactly. They do not take it for granted. They don't at all. And if you think about some of like the really, even Caleb Downs on like one of his only punt returns last year for Alabama, what did he go do? Went
nuts on it. Took it all the way back.
I mean, Tyrann Mathieu as a punt returner, kick returner. It's like those guys cherish it because they know I'm only going to get the ball if I intercept the pass or on these kick returns. And to be honest, Juck, I don't know how many kick returns I'm going to get because our defense is not going to let anybody score.
That's the thing. I was talking to Dylan the other day about this, and that was the thing. So, I mean, I don't know how many they're going to get. And I hadn't even really factored it in, but he's right. Kick return, not going to happen so much. Dylan also asked Ryan Day about Caleb Downs running the ball. And obviously Ryan poo-pooed it like we knew he would this time of the year. But the interesting thing is it was him that brought that up. Like nobody was talking about that. He's the one that brought that up. Caleb Downs in the run game, and everybody was scratching their head like, did he just really say that? So he brings it up. Dylan asks him again about it like three months later, and he's like, no, we're focusing on him being the best safety in the country. It's like, dude, you said it.
You started it. You started it.
that blew my mind.
Ryan's funny, man. Ryan is funny. But again, I would put a defensive player back there and have him go cherish it. Like that's where I'm at. And especially like, you know how I know that like defensive players on interceptions, they're so unorganized, but always figure out a way to set up blocks. Always.
They're good at it. Yeah. No.
Like, do you remember that? What was that? That 2016 secondary with Malik Hooker in them?
Yeah.
Every interception, not just them, but those other, like Marshall Lattimore was a great blocker when it was time to go house something. They set it up. They read blocks. They got to it. Now imagine if you can rep a defensive player back there that has that kind of vision to maneuver through chaos, and also it's meant for him to go score.
I like it. I think you're onto something.
I'm doing it, man. I'm just saying, like, we got some freak athletes. I mean, we just talked about Bryce West. Jordan Hancock. We saw him in the return game look nice. I'd do it. I'd do it. I believe in it.
Rod Favre is saying we got tickets available for under $100 to the USC Michigan game. We'll get into Michigan in a few. This schedule, and Dago just said football finally tomorrow. This is absolutely terrible having this bye week 3 of the season after 2 cream puffs, heading into another cream puff. We're going to be 5 weeks into this season before we play Michigan State. Never again, man. We cannot ever let
the early bye week. Can I ask you how you feel about the early bye week?
It's dreadful. I mean, like, I get that this is a one-off, which is actually not. It's a 2-off because we're going to have 2 bye weeks again next year, 24 and 25. So I get that it's a little wonky, and it's going to be a little wonky. I heard you say yesterday that Marshall also was on bye week last week.
Yes.
Or the week before. So we both had a bye. I don't get it. I don't understand at all why you would take it early. It makes no sense to me. I hate it. I think most coaches hate it. I think Ryan Day hated it. I heard, I was checking out your game, Georgia Tech, Louisville. Jeff Brom had his bye week last week at Louisville. He didn't like it. Like, you don't want this early on. You're not beat up. You just played a couple of cream puffs. You're trying to build some chemistry and then shut it down. It's horrible.
It's just like, also like with Marshall, now that they've got 2 weeks to prepare for us, it's like we should just play this game last week and then taking the bye. At least it's 3 then 1 instead of 2 then 1. But I mean, there's some teams that had a bye week after week 1. So it's just like real weird early season. And to me, it feels like NFL preseason. Like when you like play a preseason and then you're off for a week and then you're back for the real season, to me at least. I don't know. 2 bye weeks is weird.
Certainly not fun for the fan.
No,
Mika
not.
says, Sincere Johnson is visiting Saturday. She's excited, hoping he's going to get an offer. I think he's going to get that offer this Saturday. What do you think?
So do I.
Okay, good. Really want to see that. Absolutely love Sincere. I think that would be a big mistake to let him get out of the state, because if he does, he's probably going up north, and that would be terrible to see.
Also, like with the increase coming in scholarships, Juck, why wouldn't you take all those kids?
I'm so irritated. Like, this has been, I've been talking about this for a while, bro. Like, you've got this increase in scholarships. There are 10 dudes every year in Ohio you should be snatching up immediately, right off the rip. These are guys that are going to be program guys. They're going to stay in the program. They're not going to be, if you don't play them in the first couple of years looking to transfer. It just makes too much sense not to. So a guy like Sincere Johnson, who, you might look at as in the past, maybe this would be a great Ohio State linebacker, but with James Laurinaitis' ability to maybe pick off, 3 of the top 7 to 10 linebackers in the country, he might fall back a little bit on the priority list. Doesn't mean you shouldn't go get him if you go from 85 to 105 scholarships. So yeah, totally with you. The biggest storyline, we had to talk at one of our coffees before the season, and your biggest storyline heading into the season. We both love these storylines.
Big storyline guys.
Yes, we're big into this. So DJU obviously washes out at Clemson, goes up, kind of renews things a bit at Oregon State, heads down to Florida State, the same conference as his former team, Dabo and Clemson. He's going to go up there, make good, show up Dabo, who everybody kind of can't stand anymore. But that was the story of the year heading in. Now, it would look like that story's been totally blown up as things have gone totally sideways at Florida State. DJ not looking great, maybe looking a little worse than not great. He's looking straight up bad.
They're calling him DJ need to get a job, Juck. It's like it's going bad, man. It's going bad.
Yeah. It's going real bad. And on top of that, he's I think his receivers are like leading the conference in drops as well. So
leading the nation in drops.
Leading the nation as well.
Yeah,
okay.
So that receiver core leads the nation in drops.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
Disgusting.
How you feeling about that storyline, about that matchup? I mean, do you have any faith that Florida State can turn it around?
Honestly, I, in my head, like chalked up a missed opportunity for a great storyline until this morning. You were texting me saying like, wait a second, Kris, this could end up actually being even funnier, I think is kind of the direction we were going.
Right.
I'll admit before today, I was out. Like, I'm like, okay, like this is no longer any fun. Like not only is Florida State that they got upset by Georgia Tech, we then found out that it's not that Georgia Tech was any good. They're just really bad. I mean, they're 0-3. They have yet, like Florida State fans, since they got left out of the playoffs, have yet to see a win for their team. Think about how disgusting that is.
Yeah. 0-4. Started with that humiliation against Georgia. And when I saw that, Kris, that looked like, so to me, I said this to a lot of Florida State fans who did not agree with me at the time, but that was a game where you had the opportunity to go show everybody that you belonged in the playoff.
Right.
And I feel like if you had a quality team chemistry, if you had guys with buy-in, that's exactly how the coach could have rallied that. And that's what would have happened. They would have gone in and they would have given Georgia their best shot. Instead, you had 39 guys either hit the portal or elect to not play on that Florida State team. And that to me looked like there was issues in that program. And we're seeing them all come out now. Memphis was the better team last week. It's not even a question. Memphis was the better football team, which is embarrassing. That was an undefeated ACC champion last year. Like that's embarrassing as hell. So couldn't happen to a nicer bunch. I can't stand Florida State fans. Never had a single good interaction with one in my life. Speaking of Florida State, Danny Cannell in the news, busting on the Buckeyes schedule. What are you laughing at? What we see? Busting on the Buckeyes schedule. And obviously the Buckeyes schedule.
I can't stand Danny Cannell, so I think he's the worst.
Like I met Danny Cannell once and he was awesome. He was so
he?
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's all a shtick, dude. I think it's all a shtick. I don't know why you would want to be so hated as a shtick, but he was definitely awesome in person. But the way everybody's bagging on the Buckeyes schedule and being so disingenuous, like everybody knows it's been out there for a while that this Washington game was scheduled. Everybody knows that Ohio State forever has kind of led the way of college football scheduling these big out of conference games early on. And, to sit there and pick off shots. But here's the truth, Kris. I don't think it would have mattered if we started off with 3 Big Ten games. It doesn't every year. They still say we play nobody. You know what I mean? They still say it. So
yeah, that's the for fun lazy thing. Like guys, we had to cancel the home and home with Washington. They're in our conference now. It's just how things work. Additionally, like Ohio State has never, ever ducked any smoke.
Never.
Like we've led the charge. Like nobody said anything. The fact that Nick Saban played one true road game, out of conference road game, his entire time at Alabama, and it was near the end. It was Texas near the end, Juck. That's what we're talking about.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
So,
the Buckeyes have done home and homes with everybody, every big name. And when you look at the craziest thing ever is they're sitting there saying this about a team that literally has scheduled home and homes with Texas, Bama, and Georgia in the next 6 years. Like, it does not get any tougher than that.
Yeah.
You know,
we just came off of Notre Dame and Oregon.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing. It really is. I would think that everybody would be giving Ohio State credit and using this as the benchmark. I was talking to Dylan the other day, and he was bringing up, he doesn't even think we should play these games. And I am just so against that as a philosophy. I think that the committee has got a real opportunity to reward teams for scheduling these big out-of-conference games, and I sure hope they do the right thing. Because if they don't, Kris, everybody is going to axe these things in the first 3 weeks of the college football season are going to be total crap, dude. They're going to suck. We need these games. We need to reward these programs for scheduling them. BC, thank you, brother. We got another one here from Doug. Doug catching us live from Arizona, catching the Akron boys. Appreciate you, Dougzilla. Always around.
What the Juck?
Daniel Kumar, it's midnight. Where you're at? Where are you at, brother? Good to talk to you.
Yeah, wait a second. Where you at, cuz? Because yeah, where is it midnight? I got producer Pat in here. Where is it midnight at, Pat?
Looking the world clock right now.
I got the mysterious voice of Pat in the background. He's got his microphone over there, and he's looking things up as we go. So feel free to put him to work, Juck.
Canberra, according to the world clock, Canberra, it's midnight. I don't know, somewhere close to there.
Daniel Kumar from Canberra. Shout out to you, brother. So what do we think now is the biggest story? And there's always two sides of this, positive and negative. The biggest positive story, I think, for me, the surprising one, the feel-good story, I think it's Indiana, but I don't think that's kind of caught on enough yet. So I would say right now on a national level, it's probably Nebraska. But when you look at Indiana, and this just dawned on me the other day, we know what Curt Cignetti did when he came in. He comes in, he gives his version of Jim Tressel's 310-day speech, which he shouted out Jim Tressel a month later. And that made me feel good that he actually said, yes, I saw Jim Tressel do this. Then I went and did this. So he shouts out JT. He gets in that speech. He calls out Purdue, their biggest rival, and then the two top dogs, Ohio State and Michigan too, which I loved. Like a lot of Buckeye fans were not happy with that. They told me about it. I think that's whatever, dude. It's Indiana. You know what I mean? Let them have a little fun. So little Indiana goes and has a little fun. They invest. They build their first ever all football gym, like the weight room and stuff. They were sharing it with all the other sports. So they invest some money to get Cignetti up there. And this dude basically took James Madison, which here's what I just remembered. James Madison was the feel-good story 2 years ago,
correct?
Right?
Yes.
So he takes that same James Madison program, picks that son of a bitch and drops it down in Bloomington, gets Curtis Rourke, who we know was tearing it up in the MAC for the last couple years down in Ohio. And we should not be surprised that this all of a sudden is a really good team. I think they're legit. Like, they're not super, super legit, but whatever the hell their win total was.
They're definitely real enough. They're definitely real enough.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know what? The funniest, Big Ten Media Days. So he's at Big Ten Media Days, and you look at the new coaches in the Big Ten. You get Deshaun Foster out at UCLA, who, I came into this thing like I was rooting for. After Chip Kelly left, they give Deshaun Foster the job. He's defending himself, almost tears in his eyes, saying, I can do this, because the UCLA fans were giving him so much crap, and I felt horrible. So they get to Big Ten Media Days, and the difference between those two men, when Curt Cignetti sits up there at Big Ten Media Days and says, I win, Google me, right? Like, whoa, tough guy. Then you get Deshaun Foster up there with, you know what the hell he did, right?
We're a school in LA.
So it shouldn't be any surprise that Cignetti took Indiana out there last week and absolutely mollywhopped UCLA at all. But that's my feel-good
At this point, look, great point for Fisherman. Kurt has never had a losing record as a head coach. That is so impressive. Like, no matter what, it's hard to win, and bro just wins everywhere. Dare I say, it's very DeBoer-esque.
I mean, it's
Don't
scary.
shoot the messenger, man. It's Black History Year.
I thought it was Black History Decade.
It is. It's the whole actually millennium. I'm petitioning for it now.
So Nebraska tonight, Nebraska, Illinois, Nebraska minus 7.5. What are you thinking?
Illinois is a good football team too. Illinois went down there and beat a Kansas team that I thought was going to, vie for that conference down there. They're tough to defend a little bit. I know that they lost Andy Kotelnicki, obviously, to Penn State, doing cool things over there. But, I mean, in terms of, like, running back, quarterback tandems, they had, to me, a top 5 tandem in the country. And Illinois went down there and said, we got weights in our pockets too. Like, we also have weights in our pockets. Let's get down to it and handle business. So this, for me at least, is just kind of the next step up as we wait to see if we're going to end up, if Dylan Raiola will go through the coordination process. Because it's a slow ramp on, and the goal for him is to get to that Ohio State game undefeated. And this again is a next step up in competition and a better defense than he'll face than he did against Colorado. Like Colorado, for me, that game was about Colorado's offense against Nebraska's defense. I wanted to see if Nebraska had the horses outside to run with 2 NFL receivers and a quarterback who's probably going to be a first or second round draft pick. They did. Now I want to go see if Dylan Raiola, can go crank it up a little bit and go beat a Big Ten team that's better on both sides of the ball, maybe like a more solid football team. So that's kind of what I'm keeping an eye out for. But I think Nebraska should win this game. I don't know if they'll win by 7 though.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Illinois and take those points. But yeah, I do think Nebraska is going to win this game. Low scoring game. I think this is going to be a bit of a rock fight. As so many Big Ten matchups are. Those backs, the running backs on Nebraska's squad, man, they're pretty impressive. Pretty impressive backs. I like the way they run the ball there too. And it's not just Raiola. They got some receivers. It looks like the black shirts are trying to take some pride in the defense again. It's kind of exciting. So I think that, to me, probably right now, the story of the year so far at this point, heading into week 4 on the positive end, on the negative end. And, I get it. It's our rival. Maybe it stands out more to us, but I do think on a national scale, whenever you've got a national championship team that comes in and seemingly, the coaching changed, but they felt it was kind of the same regime, really, just kind of rolling forward, and really has just flat on their face fallen. Everything looks terrible. The offensive line looks terrible, and that's kind of what they hung their hat on. The defense, which was supposed to be, another top 3 defense in the country, we were told. They're, I believe, ranked 54th in total defense through a couple of games. Not looking hot, man. Not looking hot up there. They welcome in USC. What are we thinking?
I want to ask you in the chat, bigger fall off, 2020 LSU or this Michigan team? Because that's what we're dealing with, right? Like this Michigan team, I did my Big Ten power rankings, and they're not in my top 7. Like I don't even know like what caliber win to give Texas credit for. Right. I think really it's like name brand win instead of like, oh, you beat a really good football team.
I think a lot of people are struggling with that.
Yeah, like okay, like cool, like Texas beat Michigan, but I would pick right now Rutgers, Nebraska, maybe Washington, Illinois, obviously USC. Like I would pick 5, 6, 7 Big Ten teams to beat them. So it's like, okay, congrats. Like you've beaten the 6th best team at the very, very best in the Big Ten. That's not a resume win just because they're defending national champions and they're, have the name brand. Like Michigan's no good. Like, they're a bad football team. They have a quarterback that throws ground balls, and they think that's the answer. I don't know, man. Like, they're disgustingly bad. I didn't think they were going to be really good, but I didn't think they would look like an incompetent football team on offense.
Kris, we went back and forth on this, man, many times. Like,
we did.
We couldn't figure out what they were going to be. We didn't have any idea. We thought there was a wide range of things. In all the wide range of things, I never thought it would be this.
Right.
This was not what I thought. Like, I didn't see this coming. And I think a lot of it is, that media they got up there is just total hacks. Like, we know that.
They suck. They've got the worst beat in the country by literally a marathon. Not a mile, Juck, a marathon. They suck out there.
They don't even seem to care, the fans of the program. They don't even seem to care. But they fed them and all of us, like, all we got to go off of is what's coming out, right? Alex Orji looking really good, man. They're getting them all excited. Cam Newton 2.0, right? This guy could not beat out Davis Warren, who they also said would have been a 5-star and is looking great, but he got the cancer. And what a great story this is going to be. He comes in. Dylan brought it up the other day. Dude, he looks like Bowserman. He's their Joe Bowserman.
I heard him say that. No,
the
dude,
guy
this is like
dreadful.
Like this Michigan thing would have been a great Hallmark story, but this is not Hallmark. This is Big Ten football. They suck, dude. Like, there's no way around it. And like all the talk about, oh, we develop, we this, we that, and the third, it's all crashing down because, dog, they're just not good. Like, they're not good. And here's the thing: the same way we don't give teams credit for beating Florida, I'm not giving teams credit for beating Michigan. That's where I'm at. That's simply where I'm at.
I'm totally with you. I'm totally with you. And again, and I've been saying it all week, we talk about SC. I know you're really high on SC right now.
I am.
I'm starting to question SC a little bit the further I get away from that LSU game, because I'm just now, LSU comes back the week after that. They rushed for 88 yards against Nicholls State. It was just as bad rushing against the other SC, South Carolina. That offensive line was supposed to be the best offensive line in the country, bro, at LSU.
They were. How do you feel about South Carolina, though, because this might be where we really
I think they're pretty good. I
think South Carolina is really good. I think they have a top 5 defensive line in the country.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Without a doubt that. Yes, absolutely. No, I think they're pretty good. I think Lenora Sellers is pretty good. Like, I think they got a little something going on. I think they're going to play spoiler to a couple teams this year, for sure. But I am I'm questioning LSU a little bit. And
that's fair.
That's a whole nother deal. But additionally, SC goes and shuts out Utah State. Utah State, I covered this, bro. They fired their head coach like 3 weeks before the season amongst a domestic violence kind of deal with one of their players that he was investigating. He wasn't supposed to be. It was a big to-do. And they fired him and a couple of staffers. Like, we're talking about a program in disarray 3 weeks before the season. I don't know how much stock I can put into that either. So I'm still kind of on the fence about how real is SC. And I don't know how many answers we're going to have coming out of this game, right? Like, I don't know if I'm there yet with SC, though. I do think D'Anton Lynn has done a real good job plugging the hole a la Jim Knowles style year 1 at Ohio State with that defense. Like, it's definitely better. We're seeing much better tackling. We're seeing guys not totally out of position. Like, it looks way better. As far as this game, SC heading in there, I really want to see if they can run the ball against that Michigan front. If they can, buddy, this is over. Like, this is a bad game.
So their whole offensive line is 6'5" and above, and they're all 315, and they were moving LSU a good amount. If they can run and if their guards can win against Michigan, I'm in, dude. And honestly, like, I'm gonna go into this game, and I'm going to probably alt it up to like USC 9.5. Like, I think they're gonna beat Michigan by double digits. I think LSU is a better team than Michigan. I think that's pretty safe to say, no matter how you slice it. And I just think that this USC team is where Ohio State was 2 years ago. They just don't have CJ Stroud, right? Like they're gonna have moments where they give up some big plays. Like they're gonna have those moments, but they are, like you said, year one Jim Knowles, Ohio State. And also, they've been able to win, and Zachariah Branch hasn't gotten going yet. He's gonna get going.
Yeah.
He's gonna get
no
going.
doubt.
And I would love to see him against Will Johnson. Let's go bring me his head. Like, go show me he's not the top corner in the country. And that's something that I, honestly, I was surprised Texas didn't go after Will Johnson at all the whole time.
Nope.
I don't think Will Johnson's that good to work. I have a tough time avoiding college kids like they're Revis. So I'd go after him. But that's just me. And I think Lincoln Riley has the personality to go after him with Zachariah Branch because physically, like, he's got all the traits, all the tools you would want.
Going to be interesting to see if he does. He definitely does have that personality, man. He's a cocky son of a bitch, bro.
He is. Dude, he kicked it. Bro, he had Georgia on the ropes in the playoffs and opted to do an onside kick up 2 scores. Like, that is such arrogance. Such arrogance.
He is. I mean, and we'll get into the Tennessee-Oklahoma game in a second, which kind of all, he's part of that. But Oregon, before we head out of the Big Ten, I want to know, you and I were both extremely high on these guys coming into the season. Last week, they go up to Corvallis. Was it a get-right game, and now, like, they are who we thought they were? Or are they just making improvements and they're nowhere near where we thought they were? What are you thinking about them?
They are the lazy basketball player. That kid that, you play pickup ball with him. Sometimes he's just lazy out there trotting around. They're like, man, this guy stinks. And then he hears the chatter a little bit, wakes up, and all of a sudden he gives you 25 and 10. Like, that's what he is. That's what that team is. I'm of the belief their very best is good enough to beat anybody in the country. But also, they'll give you these games where they come out and they don't look very good. They are the streaky shooter, I guess I'll call them. So I think in a big game, you're going to get a much better, much more locked in, much more focused version of Oregon. And that's how I feel like they approach that Oregon State game. Are they flawed? Absolutely. But that, to me, is still a dangerous team because of the combination of quarterback, receivers, and defensive personality of Dan Lanning.
Without a doubt, a dangerous team. Without a doubt. I did not anticipate, this offensive line issues. Like, this does not look good. I had Max Torres from On3 from Scoop Duck, Oregon's On3 site, this past week. He thinks they got the offensive line issues figured out with some fella named Poncho. They got Poncho in there. Everything's supposed to be better now that they got Poncho.
I'm sitting a dog right now. His name is Poncho. So, shout out Poncho, man.
Well, Poncho's in at Oregon. Everything's cool. They're back to who we thought they were. I don't think they're that dude now, but I'm with you that I do think their best can beat anybody else's very best. Did you know, and I know I got to play this because you are such a fan of Dan Lanning, that this guy probably doesn't look servers in the eye at restaurants. He probably is probably a crappy tipper. Take a look at how this guy treats people just trying to do their job.
Is there any other key things that you guys wanted to work on during this bye week?
Yeah, just us getting better. There's a lot of key things that we're working on, not necessarily things we share with you guys, but there's a lot of stuff internally that we've noticed as weaknesses that we want to improve.
I feel like recruiting's going right now, an opportunity for you guys to get out on the road this week?
Yeah, I think this would be a great week for us to get out there and be able to see some guys and take advantage of that.
Is there anything you guys
obviously putting up really nice numbers? Where are some areas that you want to see him get better at?
Yeah, again, I'm not going to share with you guys everything that we want to get better at. I don't think that's your business, right? I really think that's our players' business. But he knows every single one of our players has an individual improvement plan this week.
Is there anything specifically you guys are focusing on this being the first road game of the year?
No, because we had a road game last week.
Bro, why you got to be such a jerk, man? You know what I mean? Like, what's with this guy's hard edge? These guys are just doing their job, asking a couple stupid questions. By the way, he gave them 3 minutes. That's how long he gave their media. 3 minutes after practice that day. And just a total, I want to say, naughty words, but I don't do that on here. Like, what a jerk.
Yeah,
I did not realize he was such a jerk. And I have a hard time rooting for people that are jerks.
I miss Dan Lanning with the melodies, man. I don't like when he tries to rap. I didn't like that. I didn't like that from Dan Lanning. I don't know. Maybe he needs to go back to the clean cut look. I don't know. I don't like Dan Lanning with the edge, man. I miss the Dan Lanning that got humbled by Kirby and DeBoer twice. That's my version of Dan Lanning. I like that personality. Because this new Dan, this big man on campus Dan, I don't like that. I miss Dan Lanning with the melodies, man.
Yeah, that really turned me off. And that's a guy that I've always kind of kind of admired, like the way he's come up. I mean, it's very impressive what he's done so far with his career. He's certainly got a bright future, but I can't get behind treating people like that. Although they probably are annoying. But you look at Ryan Day, man, first class all the way. He's never a jerk to those people. And he's got to deal with 7 times the amount of them than he does up at Oregon. Anyway, let's get to the game of the week, Kris. Obviously, we have got one hell of a storyline going into this one with Josh Huepel, fired by Oklahoma years ago. Their national championship, the last one they won, he was the quarterback, takes over as offensive coordinator. Bob Stoops fires him. He leaves, bring in Lincoln Riley. Lincoln, the favorite, obviously gets things cooking. They win 6 straight Big 12 championships. Huepel claws his way back up, gets the Tennessee job. He takes his Vols into Norman, Oklahoma tomorrow night. And this one is huge. It's Oklahoma's first ever SEC game. They are dogs in their own house. Not a lot of people believe in them. The Oklahoma folks are furious. Their win total has only been 7.5. People think that they cannot compete in the SEC week to week. I don't think long-term they have that issue. They've got a better talent composite than Tennessee, than LSU. I think they'll be just fine long-term. This particular team, I don't think they're very good. I think Jackson Arnold sucks. I don't believe in Brent Venables as a head coach. And I think Tennessee's going to roll them.
Hey, so one of my favorite storyline I think that I follow is I always tie players to each other, right? And I will track both at the same time. And I have tied all of the young up-and-coming quarterbacks with the guys that they got pushed out for, right? So I paired Dylan Gabriel and Jackson Arnold together because they were okay with seeing Dylan go because they really liked Jackson. With Tennessee, they were really okay with Joe Milton leaving because they really liked Nico. With Kansas State, they were really okay with Will Howard, moving on because they really liked Avery Johnson. The Avery Johnson looks real. I like him a lot. Nico looks real. I like him a lot. The one that stinks is Jackson Arnold. And he won the Elite 11 MVP in that class with Nico and Arch and them. But it was real
Avery
deal.
Johnson, Dante Moore, Marcel Reed. That was a great class.
He's bottom barrel of Zach went through it. Like, he's bad under pressure. He's bad, yards per attempt. He's bad against the blitz. He's bad against base defense. They have a real quarterback issue there, and they were celebrating Dylan Gabriel leaving to go to Oregon.
They were very excited for this kid. He rushed for 97 yards last week against Tulane, but other than that, he looked terrible. They needed him to run against Tulane to win the game.
He looks like the Temu version of Cade Klubnik.
Oh God,
that's what he is, man.
So what are you thinking?
They're gonna get boat raced, dude. This is gonna get a beat down. Yeah, like this. I mean, this Tennessee defense is really real. Like, really real. I think they're a playoff team. Honestly, I think I would probably them. Here we go. I'd go a step further. If they played Oregon neutral site today, I would pick Tennessee to beat Oregon.
I would too.
So they are going to demolish Oklahoma and make Oklahoma look like they don't belong in the SEC. And it's going to start like the old head SEC versus the new school guys is what you're going to get. So they're gonna beat them down. Like, they're gonna beat them bad, Juck.
I'm with you. I really am. There's a lot of people making the case for Oklahoma at home, and I'm just not seeing it because
this is the Nico coronation. I don't know how to say his last name, but I'm gonna learn it after this game.
Oh, Yamaliyava, come on, bro.
Hey, not everybody can be you.
Kris, that's all we got, brother. Let's get to a couple more of these super chats.
Absolutely.
Goran he's got some bets for us here. We got Nebraska, USC, Boston College on the money line. App State messed him up. App State got smoked last night.
They did.
Nebraska.
I'm a big
USC.
App State fan. How do you feel about App State, Juck?
I've always enjoyed App State ever
Me
since
too.
they did us one favor one time.
I couldn't say anything about them, but I love me some App State. I'll go there for a visit. Who knows?
I like their stadium, man. Cool little stadium too. Poncho is a hands football guy. God bless from Gorin. Thank you, bro. Appreciate you so much. One more pick from you. We've got Louisville hosting your guys, Georgia Tech. They're coming in. What are you thinking?
I want to see the Brent Key and Haynes King spoiler. They got to bounce back. Obviously losing to Syracuse kind of put my little bet in disarray. But it's time to get it back. Not another ACC win. I believe in Haynes King and them. And Louisville, I don't think has the D line that some schools have. So I'm thinking that we could push them back. Brent Key, run the ball.
Oh, I guess we should pick the Buckeyes game. 39.5. I'm going to go with Buckeyes cover.
Oh, you got a Buckeye cover? I have a Buckeye cover, and I've got touchdowns by Peoples, Q, Trey, and then 2 by Jeremiah.
Nice. Like it. All right, my man. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. I appreciate you as always. Guys, you can obviously catch Kris, here again today at noon on the same channel. Appreciate you so much, brother. And my buddy Kris joining me. We always have a fantastic time. So thanks everybody for popping in. I will hit a couple of these comments before we roll out of here. If any of you guys got anything to say. Really looking forward to this weekend of games, which does not look like the greatest weekend of games, but you know what they say, this is when you get all the chaos. They just said that last week, right? Like that's really not what happens. Once in a while it does. Can we get it this week? I would absolutely love it. Obviously the games I'm looking most forward to, the USC Michigan game, the Tennessee Oklahoma game. General Chrome says Michigan was trash before Stallions and they're trash after. They were only decent because of the COVID years and cheating. The COVID years, so much to do with it. The age of that team last year, that was a really old team. But it's definitely got to be the negative story of the year. Like, it's just a huge story. You got the defending national champ, which no, they're not defending. But you got last year's national champion, looks absolutely horrible, and they can't field a quarterback that looks like he should be. Looks like he belongs playing quarterback for the University of Michigan. It's pretty incredible. Pretty incredible. Jeez, a lot of comments today, guys. Dave Greenshield says COVID saved Harbaugh's job. It really did. Terry thinks Kris is a cool dude. He absolutely is. Much cooler than me. That's for sure. Urban Legend, appreciate you, brother. Thank you. General Chrome, have a beer on me, buddy. Thank you so much, pal. Appreciate you. All right, guys. That'll do me for. Appreciate y'all so much. You can check me out tomorrow on the Buckeye Postgame Show, as we will pop on live probably late in the fourth quarter and roll with our usual postgame show for about an hour and a half after the Buckeyes game. We'll have the games on. We'll talk about the current games that are going on while we're up there. And it'll be fantastic. So join me tomorrow for the postgame show. I appreciate y'all for joining me today. Have a great day. Juck and Bucks out.